You complain about the things I cook. You complain about the way I look. You complain about the clothes I wear. And you don't like my hair. You complain because I don't work. You say I'm a no good jerk. And then I go to work and you go berserk. Complain, complain, complain. You're always the same. You will never change. All you do is complain.
From the Spring Hill Toyota Traffic Center.
Watch for an accident on Pocahontas Avenue at Circle Drive in Fort Walton Beach. And it's slowing down on Highway 59 from I-10 to Gulf Shores, 48-minute drive. On Highway 31 from Highway 59 to Spanish Fort, a 15-minute drive. With Time Saver Traffic, I'm Lisa Baque.
This report is sponsored by Verdict with Ted Cruz Podcast.
I'm Ben Ferguson.
And I'm Ted Cruz. This week we bring you inside the room with the heroic soldiers wounded in the Maduro raid and with Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Corina Machado.
Download Verdict with Ted Cruz now wherever you get your podcasts to get it all.
If you see traffic trouble, call the Acadian Windows traffic tip line at pound 250, keyword total traffic when prompted. Acadian Windows, your hurricane protection specialists.
Now, here's your chance to win $1,000. Just enter this nationwide keyword on our website. Bonus. That's bonus. Enter it now at newsradio710.com. The Uncle Henry Show. Weekday afternoons from 5 till 7.
This is the Uncle Henry Show here on News Radio 710 WNTM. Thank you so much for listening to the Uncle Henry Show. I really do appreciate it. I really do. This paycheck's still important. Once again, here we are together, me and you, trying to figure out what is going on. What is going on in the world around us? Maybe we can figure it out together. Telephone number, if you'd like to call in and tell me something, 251-479-2723. That's 251-479-2723. Email address, unclehenry@iheartmedia.com. That's unclehenry@iheartmedia.com. And here we are, yes. A lovely, wonderful, overcast Wednesday in the month of January. This is very January-ish. If you've been around on the Gulf Coast for a number of Januaries, you'll recognize today as being very January-ish. It is. And lots to get into, as usual, at every level, every type of topic to talk about on the Uncle Henry Show. Before I get into any additional topics, I want to go back to a topic from yesterday. Yesterday was a Mobile City Council meeting day, and we had the excellent suggestion from Councilman Corey Penn that the Mobile City Council hold at least one quarterly night meeting for every quarter of the year. That would be 4, if I understand calendars correctly, that would be 4 night meetings a year. Just throwing a bone to the working person, the working person that wants to be active in their local government, but they've got to work and they don't want to take off from their job to go down to city council meetings. It would just be you'd just be throwing a bone to the working person that generates the tax dollar that keeps the city of Mobile afloat. And very disappointing that the rest of the council just could not get behind the idea of that. Was just too much heavy lifting. Just too much heavy lifting. But I was glad to see, Lanyap did the story, and on Facebook, a lot of people behind the idea of doing some night meetings, which I'm very much in favor of it. It's inconvenient for the working man. If you wanted to address the city council, you got to take off work and go down there. and jump through all the hoops of making sure you've signed up properly to be allowed to speak and all that kind of stuff. I'm very much in favor of doing at least the quarterly night meetings, if not more. But council not behind it. Glad to see Lagniappe covering the story, and Fox 10 did a story on it. And I got a message. I'm going to go to the Uncle Henry Show voicemail. Voicemail number 251-216-1976. That's 251-216-1976. I got a message on the topic.
Hey, it's Pat Nelly. Hope you're having a great afternoon.
Yes.
Hey, listen. Your coverage of the city council meeting yesterday triggered me about those night meetings. I really was excited when Spiro Cheerio Goddess let everybody know in the city that they would be having an evening meeting for the adults that actually get out and work and pay their taxes. So
and that evening meeting was last night, I believe, at Dolphin Way, a meeting to talk about the new Dolphin Street. They're going to be making a lot of infrastructure improvements on Dolphin Street. So they had a meeting in the evening with the mayor and some council members so they could all talk about it.
They could come in the evening and see what good things are happening in the city. And then I find out Corey Penn, God bless him, he wants to keep the tradition going. And he wanted to suggest, this is a small request of the citizens that work every day. Corey Penn, God bless him, he suggested a meeting a quarter. That's 4 evening meetings a year, Unc.
Right.
And then this dude, Ben Reynolds, I guess that's his name.
Yes.
Said that, we can't.
This dude, yes. I think a lot of his friends and family refer to him as that dude.
This dude, Ben Reynolds, I guess that's his name.
Yes.
Said that, we can't meet in the evening because then people will be eating their supper.
Right.
I think people will make time if they're off work to attend a meeting so they can have some input about how all their money's being spent. None of these goofy deadbeats that are down there that like to hear themselves talk on the microphone are always getting cut off, not even sticking to the topic. I just would like to hear what's going on from the city leaders themselves. Is that so wrong, or am I just too stupid to really know what they're doing? They know better for what we need as citizens.
Right.
I'm so livid over this, Unc. It's our city. We pay for everything. We pay their salary. Give the hard-working people of Mobile 4 evening meetings a year. And God bless Corey Penn. If I was in his district, he'd have a yard sign in my yard. Anyways, Unc, have a great afternoon and roll Tide.
Roll Tide, roll. Pat Nelly, thank you for your voicemail. The voicemail number 251-216-1976. And I'm with you there. I mean, 4 night meetings, it's only 4 meetings a year that would be at night. And that's too much? That's too much heavy lifting for these folks? All right, let me see. I had a caller. The caller, I guess, maybe I said what the caller was thinking. I don't know. 251-479-2723, the telephone number. That's 251-479-2723. Email address, unclehenry@iheartmedia.com. Well, I'm sure that some of the folks at City Hall, Pat Nelly, they would tell you that if you want to have input, all you got to do is send them an email. You know, just email them, leave them a voicemail, write them an old-fashioned letter and mail it. That's plenty of input. You can let them know just through a quick email. That's all they need from you. And if you're worried about keeping up with things, they'll tell you, those meetings are on YouTube, so you can sit up late at night and learn all you can from the YouTube. There's no need to disrupt their lives and have them go through the just very difficult, back-breaking labor of having a night meeting. It would just disrupt their dinner time and disrupt whatever they've got going on at night. Maybe there's a new episode of 1,000 Pound Sisters or whatever that show is on TLC. What is that other show on there? People that have you seen these commercials for this TV show where people are eating bugs? Yeah, that's entertainment now in modern America. Is people are eating bugs on what used to be cable TV. But that's what they want to be. They want to be home for that. They don't have a meeting at night when you can go home and watch the 1,000-Pound Sisters and the Polygamous Families and all those other wonderful TV shows they probably like to watch. All right, back with more after the break.
Time Saver Traffic from the Main Street Flooring and Design.com Traffic Center.
Watch for an accident on Pocahontas Avenue at Circle Drive in Fort Walton Beach. And it's slowing down on Highway 59 from I-10 to Gulf Shores, 48-minute drive. On Highway 31 from Highway 59 to Spanish Fort, a 15-minute drive. With Time Saver Traffic, I'm Lisa Baque.
This report is sponsored by the Normally Podcast.
This week on Normally, we take on the debate over ICE.
YouTube viewers, thank you for looking on YouTube. One moment, please. Once again, I've got to get the bumper music ready. Got a lot going on this week. And it's disrupted my bumper music placement schedule. So let me get the bumper music placed. I'm placing bumper music that I don't exactly remember how it sounds. So this will be news to me. Whatever bumper music does play. All right, let me see. Is anybody watching on YouTube? Let me check real quick. And there is KP of shirtbutter.com. Chuck bringing his common sense to the chat room. Norman Richardson. Larry Morting, Tarzan. Bama Big Man. Pat Nelly, excellent voicemail, wonderful voicemail, Pat Nelly, thank you. All right, let's see. What can we talk about while waiting to go back on the radio? I've got a number of stories to bring up that have to do with the Alabama legislature. And I've written down some things, but I forgot already what I wrote down. So. Let me see. Let me look, as usual, in the weird news. It's been too weird lately. The weird news has gotten too nasty for me to want to talk about. Yes. Okay, let me look here in the weird news. The first story I don't want to talk about. It involves people getting blankual in a prison. I don't want to do that one. Then there's a story about pornography research. I don't want to do that story. Oh, and the third story in the weird news, I said the weird news was getting too disgusting. The World Population Review, whatever that is, has released its 2026 rankings of the most promiscuous countries in the world by using what they call the Global Promiscuity Index. The only thing I'll say about this story is that I'm very pleased that the United States of America is not in the top 10. It's good. That is very good. But Australia's number one. That's a place I never want to go. And I know it's beautiful. It's very beautiful. It's a beautiful country. They got that barrier reef down there. You can look at the fish around there, and you got all. It's just very beautiful in Australia. But I don't want to go. They've got a lot of poisonous stuff down there. Did you know that? They've got a lot of poisonous stuff down there that would bite you and sting you and stuff. I don't need to go down there. Plus, I think they actually put some people in camps during COVID. I think I'll skip Australia. but they're number one. Brazil, number two. I don't think I'm going down there. Greece. That's very pretty. I'd love to visit, but maybe now I know that they're number three for promiscuity. Maybe I can just look at it from a boat instead of actually set foot on it.
Sure.
Do you own a small business? You need to hear this. A seismic shift is coming. It's time to get super sure. Not kind of sure, not pretty sure, not a little sure, but super sure. The seismic shift is coming. Super sure, coming soon.
Roll Tide. This is the Uncle Henry Show on News Radio 710 WNTM.
This is the Uncle Henry Show. If you'd like to call in, you can call in anything you want to bring up as long as it's not nasty. You know what I mean. 251-479-2723. As long as it's not pornographic or anything like that. Or just real gross. 251-479-2723 to call the Uncle Henry Show with whatever you'd like to bring up. You can bring up national, international news. I watched some of the president speaking in Davos this morning live. I happened to tune in at one of the funniest sections when he was making fun of windmills and wind power for energy. That was if you didn't watch it, that's a part of it you should watch because it's just a lot of fun to see President Trump talking about wind power over there to people that have tried to use a lot of wind power. It was a lot of fun. So we can talk about that. Anything going on, 251-479-2723. Now, there are some things that I wanted to highlight here on the Uncle Henry Show. One of them is, the Alabama legislature is meeting. They've been in session. And one of the things that's getting a lot of attention is Baldwin County's Matt Simpson talking about expanding the death penalty in Alabama to include some crimes that would be horrible things done to kids. I've got a story here. This is a brief story from WSFA up in Montgomery, a stepsister station to Fox 10. Here they are reporting on this expanding the death penalty thing.
A bill aimed at making capital murder charges more severe is now moving through the legislature. Alabama political correspondent Jessica Umbro joins us live at State House. And Jessica, expanding the death penalty is still on the table. Where does it stand right now?
Republican Representative Matt Simpson's bill, which would expand death penalty eligibility to certain child sex abuse cases, passed through the House committee stage last week. And it was a possible bill that would be on the docket for today. However, I'm told that it won't be on the official docket until the earliest Thursday or next week. Now, this bill
Now, again, this is to expand the death penalty to blankual crimes against children. Now, when it comes to crimes that deserve the death penalty, and you may think that no crime should ever deserve the death penalty, and I understand where you're coming from. But if you're going to have a death penalty, blankual crimes against children would be something I would put on the list if I had the horrible job of putting together a list of things that you would have a death penalty for. That'd be on the list.
Has gotten the support of Governor Ivey and some of Representative Matt Simpson's fellow Republican lawmakers. That includes Representative Russell Betzel. The bill would make it a capital offense to rape, sodomize, or sexually torture a child younger than 12 years old. But House Democrats have pushed back on the constitutionality of the bill. The U.S. Supreme Court decided nearly 20 years ago that the death penalty is unconstitutional for all offenses except for murder. House Minority Leader Anthony Daniels said the Democratic Party would prefer to go with life without parole for serious offenses like the ones outlined in House Bill 41.
Some people that commit such heinous crimes, and especially crimes against children, the most harshest penalty available to us needs to be available. And I think this effort in this bill is targeting just that. The people who commit the worst crimes, this will be a viable option for their punishment.
There are some individuals that feel strongly about it when
All right, here is a Democrat leader speaking.
something like that happens in their family from an emotional standpoint, and I can understand that. But I think traditionally we've kind of stayed in a life, giving them life without as one of the options.
And Representative Simpson is also the sponsor of a bill that would make it a capital offense to murder somebody while also putting other people in danger. Both of those bills, both that one and the one regarding child sex abuse cases, were passed by the House Judiciary Committee last week. And it's really any day as far as when they could be pulled up by the full House chamber. Live in Montgomery, Jessica Umbro, WSFA 12 News.
All right, thanks a lot, Jessica. Democratic Representative Chris England is sponsoring a bill that would ultimately let Alabamians decide whether Alabama should keep using the death penalty. It's waiting to be heard by the House Judiciary Committee.
Okay. Well, you know, there were some years where I really waffled on the death penalty because it's the death penalty, and the government, unfortunately, is capable of making big mistakes. You may have noticed in the last few years that governmental entities are not foolproof. And so there were some years where I was thinking, maybe the death penalty, I don't know about this death penalty. But my heart has been hardened on this by watching the news a lot. And this story we had last year out of this state of Alabama, these people north of here that had all these kids in this I guess it was a bunker or something, doing these horrible, horrible things to these kids. I cannot think of a reason not to have the death penalty for people engaged in that type of activity, just as societal self-defense. How can we make sure in the future that people are not grabbing kids and pulling them into some kind of bunker like that and doing all these horrible things to them? Is there a way? Is there anything we could do that would possibly deter that from happening in the future? I think one way would be to make the penalty that rough. And I think it's worth doing. Now, I understand, though, that in our country, there has been no execution of anybody for a non-homicide related case since 1976. No one. Now, there are a few crimes that are not murder-related, homicide-related, that the death penalty still applies to in this country. And I think there are things like, I think it's treason, somewhere along those lines. But you can do unspeakable, horrible things to children in this country, and they say that things that will affect that kid for the rest of their lives. And the death penalty will not apply in those cases. I think it should. Now, I don't know. I know other states have tried to do what Matt Simpson is proposing. I think Florida did, and there are a couple of others. But it's still something that Supreme Court may strike down and say that, sorry, if somebody drags a kid into some bunker like they did in North Alabama and does all these horrible, horrible, torturous things to them, we don't have that option. But I think we should. I really do. We've got to draw lines. And you may have noticed, people aren't getting, we're producing a more ferocious type of pervert in this country. Have you noticed? We have produced more ferocious type of perverts over the past several years. It doesn't seem to be getting better. So I think we should have whatever weapons that we can have in our arsenal to protect ourselves from such dangerous perverts. And I would make the death penalty one of those options when it comes to blanquely assaulting and torturing little kids.
Traffic Center.
In Fort Walton Beach, watch for an accident on Pocahontas Avenue at Circle Drive. Slow on Highway 98 from Daphne to I-10. It's an 11-minute drive. Slow on Highway 59 from I-10 to Gulf Shores, 49-minute drive. With Time Saver Traffic, I'm Lisa Baque.
This report is sponsored by Wellness Unmasked with Dr. Nicole Saphier.
This week on Wellness Unmasked with Dr. Nicole Saphier, I will break down the new food pyramid and how you can use the updated guidelines to get healthier right now. Listen on the iHeartRadio app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
If you see traffic trouble, call the Acadian Windows traffic tip line at pound 250, keyword total traffic when prompted. Acadian Windows, your hurricane protection specialists.
Now, here's your chance to win $1,000. Just enter this nationwide keyword on our website. Bonus. That's bonus. Enter it now.
Hello, I'm Cameron Taylor with Fox 10 News. Mobile police arresting a second suspect in connection with a shooting that injured a juvenile near Murphy High School after a basketball game on January 9th. Jaquan Ramsey was arrested and booked into Metro Jail. Police say Ramsey is accused of shooting a juvenile near the school. He's facing first-degree assault and discharging gun charges. Now, last week, Tyrese Moore was arrested. Police say Moore is accused of firing shots during the incident. The Mobile County Sheriff's Office says a worker died Tuesday after falling about 100 feet through a roof panel at the SSAB. We're told Johnny Rosario was working on the roof of a large industrial building at SSAB. Rosario was part of a team replacing metal roof panels on the building. The Sheriff's Office says the roof team was using a crane and basket to access the roof. We're told Rosario was on the roof looking for a cutting wheel to finish cutting roof panels when he stepped on a panel that already had a seam cut on one side. The panel gave way and Rosario fell into the building, landing on a metal staircase, the Sheriff's Office said. We're told Rosario was not using any safety equipment at the time of the fall. The Sheriff's Office ruled this investigation as an accidental death. The Downtown Mobile Alliance hosting a breakfast briefing to talk about the future of downtown, including updates on the ongoing St. Louis Street Complete Streets initiative. They gave details about the $17 million project designed to make St. Louis Street safer through new paving, sidewalks, ADA ramps, and drainage improvements. I'm Cameron Taylor with Fox 10 News on this iHeartRadio station.
This is News Radio 710, WNTM.
Fox News, I'm John Saucier. President Trump is at the World Economic Forum in Switzerland. He says tariffs on U.S. allies who oppose a takeover of Greenland are canceled because he's now come to the framework of a future deal with NATO on Arctic security. Mr. Trump, does this deal include the United States owning Greenland?
It's a long-term deal. It's the ultimate long-term deal. I think it puts everybody in a really good position, especially as it pertains to security and minerals under the minerals.
Indiana Republican Senator Jim Banks on Fox Business says the president is carrying out his America First agenda.
We have a strong leader who projects American strength, whether in Venezuela, Iran, toward Russia and China, or even the message that he sends to our allies and friends in NATO that they got to step up and do more.
America is listening to Fox News.
All right, YouTube viewers, going to be back on the radio here in a couple of minutes. Hello to Rick Henry. Hello to U.S. Coast Guard wife, Ben Griffin, young Ben Griffin, looking at the program on YouTube. Let's see. Tarzan White asking me if I'm going to take a Carnival cruise. No. No offense to them. I understand it's very good for Mobile to have the cruises. But no, no plans. I took one cruise back in the early 90s. One cruise in the early 90s. The thing I remember the most about the cruise was getting Montezuma's Revenge and spending most of the cruise in the bathroom. It was a wonderfully tropical bathroom break. It really was. Let's see. Back on here in about 1 minute. with more. Let's see, is there anything I can tell you before going back on the radio? Today was National Hugging Day. It was also International Sweatpants Day. And also National Squirrel Appreciation Day. And I'm glad squirrels get their own day. I've never thought about appreciating them, but I do.
World. Visit realizethedream.org today.
The Uncle Henry Show, it is 5:35. You can also hear me play country music on FM radio on 95 KSJ. I'm on Monday through Friday between 10 and 2. Tomorrow, I'll be giving away tickets to the 95 KSJ Mardi Gras kickoff party going on Friday night at the Merry Widow in downtown Mobile with some country musicians like Kelsey Hart playing for us. I'll have your chance to win tickets at 11:15 tomorrow on 95 KSJ. Telephone number here, 251-479-2723. That's 251-479-2723. Email address, unclehenry@iheartmedia.com. Hello, caller.
Good evening, Uncle Henry.
Bert, you are live on the radio.
I guess this is my first call of the year.
Well, Bert, I hope did you have a good New Year?
I played at the American Legion in Citronelle for the countdown.
Oh, wow. Wonderful.
Uncle Henry, I have been advocating for many, many years the death penalty for child molesters. I once saw a guy convicted of that on TV. He was being interviewed in prison. And he said, they might as well strap me in that electric chair right now. Because when I get out of this place, I'm going to go right back to doing what I was doing. I'm going to be victimizing more kids. And I think that applies to all of them. As soon as they get let out, it's going to be the same story.
Well, if we don't, and right now we don't have the death penalty as an option in those cases, what is the other option? Just keep them locked up for the rest of their lives?
I reckon so. And even then, they can escape, Uncle Henry. Do you remember James Earl Ray, the guy that shot Martin Luther King, or at least was convicted of it?
Yeah.
He escaped prison about 2 or 3 times. They can get out and seek out more victims, go after the witnesses. It's not a guarantee that they won't do it again to keep them in prison, Uncle Henry. They can always find ways to get out, or some lunatic governor can pardon them.
Right.
That happens too.
Yes.
Anyways, Uncle Henry, there's another thing the legislature is considering, and that's early voting.
Yes, I was going to bring that up. Yes, early voting.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but does that mean that the state would have to pay election officials for 5 days instead of just 1?
Well, I guess so. I mean, if they're talking about having days of voting before election day, so you'd have to have somebody there to handle all the voting. So, yeah.
Well, and now Tommy the Tub is talking about eliminating this tax and that tax. How are they going to pay for all this stuff, Uncle Henry?
That is a good question. That is a good question. Are we overtaxed or undertaxed in Alabama, or is it just about right?
Well, thank you for taking my call, Uncle Henry.
Bert, thank you. And please call back whenever you want to promote one of your musical adventures. When you're going to go and play somewhere, please let us know, because I'd like to let people know where they can see you. But early voting. Before I get to early voting, one more thing on the topic of the death penalty for the people that are doing this horrible blankual torture of children. like we've seen in Alabama. Anytime I talk about the death penalty, I must play this talk show caller that called me on the topic. This call would have come to me in 1983. So I don't know how many years ago that was. I'm not good at math, but here's a talk show call from 1983 on the topic of the death penalty.
Oh, yes. I'll tell you, I say that life imprisonment should be abolished. If they're going to give a person life in prison, I don't think we ought to have it. We ought to cut that out altogether. If the crime is bad enough for life imprisonment, it's bad enough to execute them. Because this country cannot afford to keep all these people for life in prison. It ought to be cut out. If they have committed a crime that is bad enough to give them life, it's bad enough to execute them. And what's the reason for us to let them set up in prison and keep them alive all this time? No, indeed. I feel like people ought to talk about that.
All right, yes. Still valid since from 1983 to today. Still valid on the program. In fact, maybe I could, if I could find as many old Uncle Henry shows as I can from the past and just recycle all those calls, because I'm sure the issues are mostly the same on stuff like that. Maybe I'll do that. And then we can save money. We can just turn our phones off here and save some cash. 251-479-2723, the telephone number here on the Uncle Henry Show. Now, Bert called in about early voting, and there is a move. The Alabama Democrats in the legislature, one of their priorities is to have some early voting. Here is I've got a very brief report on the early voting here from WSFA, stepsister station to Fox 10.
Now, when House Democrats held a press event earlier today, they outlined their legislative priorities. And one of those priorities is protecting Alabama's elections. They say in order to do that, early voting has to be on the table. They say early voting means better accessibility to the ballot. Now, all House Democratic Caucus members are joining together on sponsoring a House Bill. House Bill 270 looks to have in-person early voting starting 10 calendar days before Election Day. And in that early voting period, 5 days before Election Day. Representative Adeline Clark is the primary sponsor of that bill. She says the more needs to be done to increase voter participation throughout the state. However, Republican Representative Russell Betzel says having early voting brings about concerns over election and pulsing.
All right, look, here's the question I've got, or a series of questions I've got about this. So why is it harder now? For some reason, why is it harder now? I don't remember, I remember voting throughout my adult life. I don't remember ever having a problem in modern voting. Now, yes, I'm sure there were problems in the past. But here in the last many, many decades, what's the problem? One day is not enough. The lines are too long. Last time I voted, it took longer to park. It did. Last time I voted, it took longer to park. So what has happened in the last 20, 30, 40 years that now it's hard? Is it harder to vote? Have I just been blessed living on the Gulf Coast that it's been easy for me to just drive to my polling place, get out of the car, walk in, show an ID and vote? I mean, is it, what challenges are people facing? Now, if you can't get off work to vote, now they do have voting, early in the morning, 7 to 7, right? If they added one extra day, would that help? They do have absentee voting. What's happened that we now need many extra days? Are people just slower now than they used to be? Physically? Have we reduced the speed limits so much that people just can't get to the polls on time because the speed limits are now, we got to make it safe for pedestrians? What has happened? I'm serious. Why is it harder now? Seems easier than ever before. At least my experience is here on the Gulf Coast. Maybe we can let the people of Montgomery know how it works here. And maybe they can do it that way all over the state, and then they wouldn't have to have many additional extra days. I really don't understand it. What are the obstacles? Is this because in some rural Alabama communities the bridge might be out or something? What is this? Why do we need extra days? And if it's only about encouraging more participation, has it ever occurred to you that some people don't care? Because some of them don't.
Getting slow north on I-65. Watch for an accident between Dauphin Street and Spring Hill Avenue, and delays are backing up to...
All right, YouTubers, what a wonderful day having Bert call in. Bert is an accomplished musician. What a great place to ring in the new year is to go to a VFW in North Mobile County and have Bert counting you down. That would have been epic. I wish I'd have known about that. All right, YouTube people, let me look. And see if you're there on YouTube. Yeah, a small number of people looking. Kasuma is 23 today. Happy birthday to Kasuma. Very nice. Coast Guard wife, yes. I will put the link in the comments. If you watching on YouTube would like to attend the reception Friday evening at the Battle House from 4 to 6, where I will be inducted, it'll be me, Bill Riles, and Dr. Bill Williams, where the three of us are being inducted in the Alabama Broadcasters Hall of Fame. If you would like to attend, just go and sign up. There you go. There's the link, Coast Guard lady. Wow, it's been that long. 68-year-old Chris. You're Kasuma, 10 years old when I met her. 23. Time flies, doesn't it? And nothing really brings it to your awareness than watching kids grow up. All right, let's see. What can I tell you while waiting to go back on the radio? Let me see if I can find some interesting things to tell you about. All right, a wedding in China has gone viral all over the world because twin brothers married twin sisters. And then the guests discovered that both sides of the family also have twin uncles. So that's 4 sets of twins at the wedding. Twin brothers married twin sisters, and then they each had twin uncles. So there were 4 sets of twins. A photo of this has gotten more than 10 million views online. Now, here's some important news. There's a pet cow in Austria that researchers say has become the first cow to figure out all by itself how to use a tool. The cow picked up a broom and used the broom to scratch itself. And so researchers are claiming this is showing that cows may have hidden problem-solving skills. You know, the only problem that I want a cow to help me solve is, what am I going to have for dinner tonight? Do you, the cow, have a suggestion or maybe a body part that you would like to suggest?
Leader Maria Corina Machado.
Download Verdict with Ted Cruz now wherever you get your podcasts to get it all.
Available everywhere with the iHeartRadio app. Now #1 for podcasting. This is News Radio 710 WNTM, an iHeartRadio station.
This is the Uncle Henry Show. We have news headlines coming your way in 10 minutes here on News Radio 710 WNTM, and then more. Uncle Henry Show. Telephone number 251-479-2723. That's 251-479-2723. Now, if you'd like to leave a message once the show is over, the voicemail number is 251-216-1976. That's 251-216-1976. Got a message I got a message from Buford, and I learned something that I didn't know from this message. Maybe you don't know this either. Let's learn together from Buford.
Henry, this here's Buford. Henry found out that the Buford children and a bunch of their friends follow Mayor Spiro on the TikTok. That's right, Henry. I don't understand it, but I think the Mayor Spiro has a TikTokers.
All right, so on the TikTok, young Mayor Spiro is on TikTok. Buford says that his children and a bunch of their friends are watching the mayor. Now, his kids are like middle school age, I think. They're all watching young Mayor Spiro on TikTok.
But I think the Mayor Spiro has a TikTokers that's like, where was Spiro today, or some nonsense like that. Henry, the children love it. It is a big hit amongst the youths, Henry. I don't know what the appeal is.
All right, now what could it? Now think about that. What? Now, no offense to young Mayor Spiro, but what is interesting about watching him when you're in middle school? Why would you want to watch a mayor on TikTok, unless he's, like eating bugs or doing something weird? Why would you do it?
I don't know what the appeal is. They think it's kind of funny, but they also find it very interesting, and I think they like the fact that he is out there amongst the community and is posting it on the social media outlets on where he was that day. But he's got a huge following, Henry, in the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade demographic.
Wow.
I ain't saying nothing, and I don't know what that means. It is just what it is. Anyway, Henry, figure you find that interesting. You have a good day.
I do. Hey, Buford, thank you for telling me that. I do find that interesting. You know what it could mean for him. When he was in one of the debates or on this show, one of his public appearances, young Mayor Spiro said that he hoped to serve Mobile for like 30 or 40 years. So if these kids grow up to be voters here, that would be a big deal. That they've been following the mayor since he was on TikTok back when they were in the 7th grade, and now they're voting. That means good for the political future of young Mayor Spiro if he's got 6th, 7th, and 8th graders that think he's great on social media. Hello, caller.
Uncle Henry, how are you?
I'm good. John, you are live on the radio, John.
Yes, sir. I'll make this quick. I just wanted to let you know, any of that early voting, all it does is open the door to more fraud by the Democrats who try to rig every election. That's all it does. That's the intent. And it gets so bad where some of these precincts have like 10,000 people, blue precincts, and they get 11,000 votes. And the next nefarious plan that they have, there's a lunatic, progressive, radical governor of Virginia.
Yes.
She had this whole list, like 15 crazy things, banning leaf blowers that use gas. But she wants to do online voting. I mean, you would have a more accurate election in Afghanistan than you would with online voting.
Yeah,
So
this
hope people.
I'm sorry, I just want to
Yes,
say,
sir.
this governor in Virginia, isn't she a former CIA officer or something? Didn't she work in the CIA?
Yeah, and she ran as a moderate,
And now pressing for online voting, which I agree with you, that would just be a disaster.
yeah, it would pretty much invalidate. I mean, can you imagine how many ways? I mean, you could cheat. I mean, it's just you should only vote the same day, or you can do an absentee vote if you're in the military or if you're an invalid. That's it.
I'm with you.
You know?
What's wrong with that? I mean, it worked for quite a while. I don't see the problem.
And Alabama has the best voting laws to prevent all this fraud, but they just have to say no. That's just the bottom line.
All right, John, I got to run. I'm up on the break, but thank you, John.
Yes, sir. Take care.
All right, there he goes. Say what you want about Kay Ivey, but at least she's not like that lady up there in Virginia.
Securing America.
When you think about U.S. military academies, you probably think of West Point, Annapolis, and the Air Force Academy. You probably don't think about the Merchant Marine Academy in Kings Point, New York. It's actually overseen by the Transportation Department. And Secretary Sean Duffy said on Fox and Friends Tuesday, the facility is now being...
The Merchant Marine Academy. That is where you learn you can get a master's degree in cussing when you go to the Merchant Marine Academy. All right, I'll be back tomorrow at the regular time. Thank you, you small number of YouTube viewers. I appreciate it very, very much.
That compete with the Chinese and other Asian countries to make sure that America owns the seas.
Secretary Duffy added the goal is to
give them the respect that they need.
Earlier this month, Admiral Tony Serralo was named the superintendent of the Merchant Marine Academy. Kevin Uretsky, Fox News.
This is Jim.
Hello.
Jim started advertising with iHeartRadio way